What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece treasure cruise video. Just a little bit of like a sequel video from the video that I uploaded last night, as we got the news about the brand new OPTC dev letter posted on Twitter, and we had the information about Doflamingo and Moria and all these new characters that are coming out. So in this video, I want to talk about not only just the new data download and the characters that are here, but there's also just interesting other things, including like new ship upgrades, level limit breaks, etc. So we're just kind of package all of that into this video today. I want to talk about these rare recruits as well, because one of these rare recruits legit might be one of the best rare recruits that has ever released in this game's history. It is absurd how powerful this unit is, and honestly, I think he's probably going to see more play than some of the legends that you get, over the past, couple of months or so. But let's go ahead and talk about the sugofest. So part 1, as we know, is debuting, well, it says March 26th. It said March 27th on the news thing, so that's interesting. But either way, like the steps, like part 1, it's just pretty generic looking stuff. Part 2 here is going to be guaranteed Dofi and Sugar, and then part 3, which I have not gone ahead and got up to, but it has the Moria and Perona character guaranteed. I talked about it in the other video, but we're so close to that 10th anniversary. I don't know if it's actually going to be worth it to pull on a banner such as this. You probably should conserve your rainbow gems. That's the way that I kind of see it, But let's talk about the characters in a bit more detail. So we already talked about Doflamingo and Sugar and all that good stuff. I want to have a look at their solo captain ability. So Dofi, in his solo captain ability, he only goes up to a 5 times attack boost. You do still remove the special bind by 10 turns. So I assume Sugar will also do the same thing? Yes, okay, so up to a 5 times attack boost, removing 10 turns of special bind. So at least that is a positive. You do see the character doesn't have super tandem, final tap, etc. So you don't have to worry about getting multiple dupes, which I guess is a net positive. Now this character's switch effect, it does require 6 switches to get it completely maxed. Even just the base switch is actually not too bad, I guess. Removing Despair on themselves, matching slot, applies increased damage taken, 1.25, which is very low to all enemies for 1 turn, and then reduces all enemies' attack by 20% for 1 turn. So this is actually a really unique ability. You don't see this actually occur too often, but removing attack, it is what it is. And we haven't had a look at their Rumble kit, so we're going to go ahead and talk about that. So in Rumble, this character, remember, it's a dual unit, so they're not classified as a color, which is pretty bad for these types of units. So you really want dual units to be absurdly broken for them to actually see play in Rumble, and I think this character is not that great. So you've got this Rumble ability giving buffs to Driven and Cerebral, 6 attack, 6 defense, 4 speed, but free spirit characters on the enemy side of the field, level 7 health down. That's pretty good. But unfortunately, the special doesn't help that much. 25 cooldown is respectable, very good, but it does damage over time level 2 for 10 seconds, and then targets 2 debuffer style enemies for a 100% chance of action bind. Just such a niche special. This is never really going to be that good. Level 2 damage over time is not really that much at all. So the special really nerfs this unit in Rumble, and for those reasons I don't expect this character to see a lot of play. It does evade damage over time on themselves, damage reduction versus free spirit and powerhouse characters. And then they do have Grand Party stuff. In Grand Party, they give buffs to Int, Driven, and Cerebral, which is fine, but the burst skill is just kind of bad. You can launch it 4 times, and you just have to deal 20,000 damage to the opponent. So you can get this pretty often, but the effect is not that good. Target all enemies for 100% chance of paralysis, one of the easiest debuffs to really get around, because paralysis doesn't really hurt you that much. And then level 7 speed down, and then damage over time level 2 on all enemies. It's just not that good. I just don't think this character is going to see play in Rumble. I mean, maybe you could chuck it on just for the free spirit debuff. I doubt it though. So that's Doflamingo and Sugar. Let's go ahead and jump over to Moria and Perona really quick. So in their solo captain abilities, nothing really too noteworthy. Like this character's captain ability was just so focused around just doing damage. It doesn't really have utility. So you can partner this character up with some utility characters, but the fact that, if you're in their dual unit, you can get up to like almost a 6.6 times multiplier for Driven and Cerebral. That's pretty strong, Again, no super tandem final tap or anything. And then this character switch ability at base switch is still giving the negative status, 15% resistance down, and then it also provides healing at the end of the turn. But of course, the super switch after 6 switches, applying the negative status through immunity is really big. Obviously helps with a lot of different effects. And then the resistance is better, and the end of turn healing is better as well. Let's go ahead and jump into this character's Pirate Rumble kit. So this character is classified as a supporter style unit, and then in their Rumble ability, they give Driven and Cerebral 8 HP, 5 speed, level 2 special CT increase, so that's pretty cool. And then their special ability, it is 35 seconds, which is definitely on the higher end. It targets enemies in a large range for 7 attack down, 2500 fixed damage, and then Driven and Cerebral teammates get level 7 attack up and 2500 heal. I just think it just doesn't do a lot for a 35 CT. The numbers just should have been better. 2500 fixed damage in a large range. It would have been better if this targeted all enemies. If this targeted all enemies, definitely would have been better, but this does still have chances to whiff. It's just 35 second CT is just a little too high. I would have preferred it if this was around a 30 CT. I think it probably would have been a little bit better. This does evade action bind, which is kind of cool. More damage reduction, of course. And then this character's Grand Party kit, I just don't think it's going to see that much play either. Driven, Cerebral get buffs, and then Free Spirit, enemies HP down level 5, attack down, and defense down level 6. That's actually a really good GP leader skill. But then the burst skill, you have to receive 30,000 damage. You can launch it 4 times. Targets one enemy with high health for 8 attack down, 60% health cut. And then targets one of your teammates with low HP for attack up and a 50% heal. The fact that it only launches on one of your characters and one of your opponent's characters doesn't seem that good to me. Especially when we've got characters like Gear 5 running around. You know, it just doesn't seem like a very fair comparison. So that's just the quick little breakdowns I wanted to show just to give additional context to these 2 new Sugofest exclusives. Now, let's talk about the rare recruits. We'll talk about Hody and Vanderdecken last because that unit is absurd. But this character, the Monet and Caesar driven Cerebral, it's a multi-stage special, so we'll have a look at stage 2 first because I think that's where you kind of want to start from. It does remove 4 turns of paralysis, greatly boosts chances of landing int slots for 1 turn, or matching slots, should I say, matching slots for 1 turn. And then int, Cerebral, and Driven get a 2.25 ore boost for 1 turn. You do a 10% resistance down for int, and then it says that if your captain is driven, you get a delay that goes through immunities. That's dope. And then if your crew's HP is at 61% or above when you launch Caesar and Monet's special, you get a 60% health cut and gives this character -7 turns of cooldown. So basically, if you use the stage 2 special, you can fully charge to get the stage 1 special at the same time. So if you just run it back, paralysis removal, great chance of matching slots, orb boost resistance down, guaranteed delay, and then health cut plus -7 turns. Allowing you to use stage 1, which gives a further 2 turns of paralysis removal, giving you 6 turns of paralysis total removal. This character does also boost orbs with stage 1, but stage 2 is a better buff. You get quick resistance this time, so you'll have quick and int resistance with both special launches. And then it changes all slots randomly unless they match. So it's kind of like a roundabout way to get matching slots, but it shuffles your slots randomly to get the higher chance with stage 2. Locks crew slots for 1 turn, which is also really nice. And then if your captain is driven, it poisons all enemies for 1 turn. So of course the poison doesn't go through full immunity, but still, I think if you take this character as a package deal with stage 2 and stage 1 special, you get quite a lot of abilities out of it. So I think it's kind of neat. It's an interesting design. As for crewmate abilities, size slot's beneficial for Driven, and then a bit of a base stat increase. The support effect attaches to Dofi, Virgo, and Sugar. And if you use, or not if you use a special, but if you're inflicted with paralysis, it inflicts poison to the opponent and then remove 1 turn of paralysis. So that's pretty neat. It's a paralysis removing support at the end of the day, but it does have the potential to inflict poison to the opponent. So it's kind of neat. I think it's a pretty cool support. At the bare minimum, it's just a paralysis removal, which is good. It's a pretty good effect, honestly. So that's that. That's the brand new Caesar and Monet, and there's the sprite, of course. Those 2 characters chilling together. Not a bad rare recruit, honestly, but the highlight is this guy. When I first read this guy when I woke up, I couldn't believe what I was reading. This unit just does so many things. So, driven powerhouse, good combination, of course. It's quick driven powerhouse, that is. Let's have a look at this special ability. It just does heaps. First of all, -2 turns, right? -2 turns of cooldown to driven powerhouse, and -2 turns to their switch effect gauge. That's dope. That's awesome. I love that they're doing that. It just reduces the amount of stalling you need to do. It also does 150 times their attack and quick damage to all enemies, ignoring all defensive effects. So it's a damage dealing special, which is good. Reduces all enemies' defense by 50% for 3 turns, ignoring immunity. So this is obviously really big. Now, it's not the biggest defense down. 50% defense down is really not that good. But at the end of the day, if you just need to proc a defense down conditional boost, this is a 3-turn defense down going through immunity. You know, you're not really using it to just reduce enemy defense. You're using this effect to add more debuffs to the opponent to get those conditional boosts to proc. It's a good effect. It's really, really good, the fact that it goes through immunities. It then says it does 150 times its character's attack and quick damage to all enemies at the end of the turn for 3 turns. So this character can also get around resilience buffs. And then it says, boost the chain multiplier by 1.0, also for 3 turns. That's awesome. And then, Driven and Powerhouse slots are changed into matching through block slots. This character just does way too many things. Cooldown reduction, switch effect reduction, damage dealing special, defense down through immunity for 3 turns, end of turn damage, chain boost for 3 turns, and a full board of matching slots. Like, oh my god. This is one of the best rare recruits in the game, hands down. This unit is absurdly strong. And then, of course, resist 2 turns of special reverse with no conditions added. We've had characters in the past that resist special reverse that require certain captains to be used, but no, it doesn't matter. This character just has the ability to remove the special reverse. Driven characters get an HP boost, and then the support effect attaching to any driven unit. And it says that if you use a damage dealing special, you remove or you halve enemies' defense for 3 turns. Now, yes, it doesn't remove defense up, but still, halving all enemies' defense for 3 turns, allowing you to proc other defense down conditional effects. This unit is crazy good. Crazy good character. Hody Jones and Vanderdecken. So those are the 2 new rare recruits, Caesar Monet, Vanderdecken and Hody Jones, pretty cool characters. And then we've got a bit of context added to these ones here with Dofi and Moria. And I think it's a pretty good batch overall. Like, they're not the best legends ever, but I think that they're pretty neat. If I could only choose one of these characters to have, I would love to have Perona and Moria. One thing I did forget to mention about Perona and Moria is they have really good synergy with Cross Guild, as Perona is one of the listed characters for the EX, Super, and Rush conditions for Cross Guild. So this has perfect synergy with that unit, as well as this character providing good utility with their special, and is an attack boosting effect where, you know, Cross Guild obviously provides all boost. So yeah, this is such a good combo. I think these characters are great. So we've gone ahead and switched things up because we do have some other characters to talk about. So we have this new Lucci, Kaku, and Stussy. This is the brand new free-to-play like Pirate King Adventures character for the upcoming event. And this character is a driven cerebral and is a quick unit. Captain ability is nothing that crazy, 3.75 attack, and then you get a further boost if you have a certain condition on the opponent. Their special ability removes Special Bind and Chain Reduction by 6 turns. That's really good. And then reduces all enemies' threshold effect by 50%. So this is interesting. This is the first character that does this. The effect increase-decrease only occurs 1 time. So basically, if the enemy says, like, the enemy's threshold says, I don't know, let's say, you know, any damage that is above 10,000 is reduced by X%. I'm not 100% sure if it means that damage over 20,000 instead or 15,000 is reduced, or that the reduction itself is reduced. Not 100% sure. I don't think this is that useful, honestly, because most of the time you just want to remove the threshold rather than reduce the effect of it. We'll see. It also gives a 3.5 chain lock for 1 turn, and if this character is a crewmate, you can switch into the captain for 1 turn. The super type, because this character does have a super type, you can apply resistance down and then choose to remove your captain swap whilst also giving super quick to your crew. And you do need to have a full team of driven to proc that, which is not that difficult to do. And this also does remove 6 turns of special bind, which goes well with the special, and tapping on this character with a quick or a tandem slot will further boost the crew's chain locks by 0.25, buffing this to 3.75 for 1 turn, or if you have another chain lock or another chain boundary, you can just buff it by 0.25. And remember, this character will be getting a super evolution with the upcoming treasure map as well, so I'm interested to see how they're going to buff this character, because at the moment, already seems really, really good. I'm pretty impressed with what they've done so far with this unit. Nothing really else too noteworthy to talk about here, but does reduce cooldown by 3 at the start of the quest. I guess that's kind of cool. But yeah, the new Lucci, Kaku, and Stussy seem pretty good for a free-to-play unit. So we have a new batch of level limit breaks also coming to the game. We've got X Drake, who is a free-to-play treasure map unit. He really hasn't seen that much play since he got debuted into the game. So I would have hoped that they would have done a really good job with him. I mean, you can see here that his captain ability is a 4.75 times attack boost. That's actually really, really good. The rest of the effects kind of whatever. Now, his special ability says that if he has a strength or a Wano slot when you launch the special, you get 0 defense on the enemy for 1 turn and extend the duration of all boosts by 1. Little bit of a niche situation needing these specific slots. But it says, then after that, changes crew's block and unfavorable slots to matching, okay, reduces the duration of enemy barriers, and does damage to 1 target based on the number of strength, dex, quick, and Wano slots that you've consumed before you launch the special. So this was his gimmick before. He just removed a lot of turns of barrier, depending on how many, like, strength, dex, quick he consumed. They add Wano to this list, which I think is a really good idea. So at a bare minimum, you get 2 turn barrier removal and 150k damage, which is like whatever. But then once you've consumed at least 10 slots, it's 3 turn barrier removal and 2 million fixed damage. And then once you've consumed 18 slots, it's 5 turns of barrier and 3 million fixed damage to a single target. That's pretty good. And then it also says it boosts the attack of the next final tap, depending on which of these slots that you've consumed, up to a cap of 30%, 10, 20, or 30%. So, I don't think this character received an amazing buff, and even with this buff, I don't expect X Drake to really see play. So I think this is kind of a fail of a level limit break for a character such as this. Now, this is one that I've been waiting for a while to get some kind of buff, which is Rebecca and Viola, because this character debuted with really bad design, where their special ability would remove like 5 turns of special bind, but then their crewmate ability would only remove like 3 or 4 turns of it. It wouldn't actually remove all of the debuff that they remove. So I like that they've now updated this unit to be a lot better. Captain ability, it doesn't really matter that much, but up to 5.25 free to play is good. Now the special says that if you have a chain lock when you launch the special, you buff it by 0.25. Otherwise, you get a certain chain lock based on the number of enemies that are on the field when you launch the special. So up to 3.5, 3.75, or a 4 times if there's 6 enemies on the field. But it is only for 1 turn. But then also removes burn and special bind by 6, and then combined for 2 turns. And then buffing their crewmate ability, which needed to happen, now removing 6 turns of special bind. So Rebecca Viola looking really good. I'm a big fan of what they've done with this character's level limit break. This character definitely will see play. Now, another character that received the level limit break that needed it was this Shirahoshi free-to-play treasure map unit. However, I don't think they did a very good job with it, as this character will now it reduces special bind by 3, okay, reduces recovery down by 6. If there are 3 or fewer enemies when you launch the special, you heal 8k at the end of the turn, and reduce damage taken by 70% for 3 turns. But then it says, if there's 4 or more enemies present, you heal the crew by 10k at the end of the turn, and 70% damage reduction equal to the number of enemies that are present on the field. So this is interesting because beforehand it was like heal and damage reduction based on the amount of enemies, but now what they've done is because there are lots of stages that may not even have, you know, like 3 or more or whatever, or they might only have like 2 characters or whatever, but basically as long as there is 3 or less, you're guaranteed to get the heal and the damage reduction for 3 turns. So you could use it on like a previous stage, carry it into a final stage if they react to like damage reduction or healing or something along those lines. But then if you have 4 or more enemies present, then the healing and the damage reduction is just enhanced. I mean, I just don't really think this has much of a use case. I don't think this character will see play, which is unfortunate because, yeah, it's just not that good. Even though the artwork is kind of cool, the character's special is just not that great. Now, would you believe that Zorojuro is getting a level limit break? One of the most used treasure map units of all time is getting a level limit break. So let's have a peek at what this character is doing. So now he reduces threshold and resilience by 3. He did not do this before. It was only, I think it was 2 turns of threshold removal. I don't remember if he removed resilience. I don't think he did. But now he's just buffing it to 3, and because of his double special launch, you can remove 6 turns of resilience and threshold. You could even have like, what's his name? Koshiro support on Zoro, so you can remove an additional 4 turns of resilience, removing up to a total of 10. That's kind of crazy. And he also does the damage, ignoring all defensive effects and defense to all enemies based on the number of times you've used the special. So first launch is now 300k. Beforehand, it was 250k. The second time you launched the special, it was 500k, buffed to 600. And then the third time you launched the special was 1 million, buffed to 1.5. Honestly, the damage didn't really matter. Like, you were using it to kill like mob stages anyway, so the amount of damage increase doesn't actually make a difference for this character. The other effect that just would have been awesome to see change was just what other effect that he kind of did. So he removes 3 turns now of these debuffs. They didn't really buff that much. I mean, to be honest, this character is still going to see play either way, so it didn't really matter. But it would have been nice if they actually changed a couple of different things about this unit, because yeah, it just doesn't do a whole lot aside from the damage. It would have been cool if they had some other unique ways to use him. I guess the resilience removal is really nice, but I don't think this level limit break is like a godly transformation. The unit is still really good. He didn't get any worse. It's just that they didn't really buff him as much as we kind of were hoping. Also got a buff to a Pirate Rumble rare recruit here with Ohm. Ohm's actually really strong here. Look at this. Int characters HP 6, attack 6, and then in the first 50 seconds, sight enemies defense down level 5. Already very good. And then a 34 CT special, which is high. However, this special, 4 enemies, 100% chance of half stats for 20 seconds, and then targets enemies in a large range, horizontal for 4,000 damage. And in the first 50 seconds, sight enemies, 40% CT delay. Oh my god. I mean, look, to launch his special in the first 50 seconds, I mean, it's probably going to happen in most cases, but he does have a very, very high special CT. If you have, like, Legend Apu, for example, with this guy, yeah, he's going to launch it no matter what. But there are probably going to be times, if you're running a team that doesn't have special CT increase, there actually might be times where he won't even launch in the first 50 seconds. But it's just, if you do launch it, like, it's just an insane amount of buffs. Like, the Mono Int team to go against Mono Psy is incredible. It's so strong if you have all those key units. Removing Special Bind, reduce damage from Psy by 35%. Like, this character's pretty cracked. And also, the Groggy monsters received a bit of a buff as well, but I don't think this was that significant of a buff. I mean, Quick Allies, attack 6, speed 6 in the first 40 seconds. It's a further attack and speed 5. So it's a pretty decent buff, I guess. And then 27 CT, 2 targets for 2.4 damage 3 separate times, 3 high attack enemies, 80% chance of paralysis, and 80% chance of Special Bind. I don't remember if the Special Bind was there, but it only lasts for 5 seconds, so I don't think this is that significant. If this also lasted for 20 seconds like the paralysis, I think that'd actually be really juicy, but 5 seconds doesn't help that much. Damage is slightly increased, rumble ability is slightly better, remove Special Bind on themselves. I think this character's okay. And then, of course, we have some limit break expansions for Zoro, Don Chinjiao, and Cavendish. Nothing really too noteworthy there, but interesting stuff coming up for this next celebration. We also have information in regards to some ship upgrades. So we have the Kizaru ship receiving a buff. This is a mono shooter ship that gave a lot of cooldown. Now it also gives a slight buff to slasher units as well. Obviously, Legend Borsalino, V1 Borsalino being shooter and slasher. I get why they do that, but if you're running mono shooter, there aren't too many units that are both shooter slasher. Only other one that comes to mind is like Raizo and Shinobu, I guess. Bit of a weird one. Makes perfect easier to hit with a special that reduces defense up by 2 turns and 10% health cut. That's a very good ship special. And then it reduces cooldown by 1 for slashes and reduces the ship special charge time by 3 turns when you get the modifications on it. So I guess this ship is okay. I wished it was kind of just honing in more on just the mono shooter stuff rather than trying to add slashes and shooters together, because it's just not a great combo. Bit of a weird one there. The original Capone ship is actually getting a buff too. This ship is so hard to use, mainly due to this. Anytime you have a slasher, a free spirit, or a powerhouse unit on your crew, your damage is reduced. So maybe they've reduced the amount of damage that is reduced on your crew if you have it upgraded, but it just seems kind of bad. Driven and shooter, 1.6 attack, or it's actually Rainbow 1.6 attack, HP 1.3, and then Driven and Shooter get a further 1.2 increase. So yeah, it's a lot of damage. Easier perfects, 5% health cut at the end of the turn is the big thing. As we know, we've got the Don Krieg ship that does the health cut at the end of the turn, but it's hard to like get damage with that kind of ship. But this one has really good damage, but the really heavy restriction of not being able to use Slasher, Free Spirit, or Powerhouse, especially when they want you to use Driven characters. Like Driven and Powerhouse go hand in hand, and the fact that you're not allowed to use Powerhouse really kind of hurts. If you get it to level 12 plus mods, you get -1 cooldown and 1 turn of attack down removals, which that's kind of cool, but the ship is just very hard to use. Now the Victoria Punk, the kid ship, getting a bit of a buff as well. HP buff, boost chances of landing tandem, bomb and super bomb are matching, 1.7 times attack, boost attack by 2 times if they've got a bomb or a super bomb slot. So if you're running, those kid teams with bomb and super bomb slots, this ship is crazy. A 10-turn special that removes barriers by 1 and changes the attack multiplier of bomb and super bomb to 2.25. Actually really good. And then when you get the mods on it, you get despair reduction and an additional -1 turn of cooldown. I think Victoria Punk is actually a very good ship, but at the same time, are you really going to be abusing bomb and super bomb slots a lot of the time? Probably not. I do like the fact that they actually removed the condition that required your captain to be Dex or Strength. So I like that they got rid of that. It's kind of just like a rainbow boosting ship, but if you're abusing Bomb and Super Bomb with characters, this ship is cracked. Really, really good ship. But aside from that, probably not going to see that much use, unfortunately. But that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you guys did enjoy the video today. Interesting stuff here with the new batch, Moria and Perona and Dofi and Sugar. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.